And this week, or half week, I promised to dive into more intuitive movement. So what does that mean? A lot of the yoga postures classically are seen as fixed structures that you learn over time to perfect the many nuances of, and anatomical knowledge of the bones and the muscles, how to fine-tune them becomes a priority. And there's a certain perfectionism, I think, in that practice, which has some value in terms of not getting injured, but on the other hand tends to, from my experience, bind the body, bind the mind into this fixed pattern, this perfectionist ideal. Whereas our bodies really are movable feasts, so to speak, and we like to move, and it's good for us to move in some form, hard or soft, fast or slow, depending on how you're feeling on any particular day. So I think what I'm going to try to do is to visit structures that are familiar and then allow you to move in them and explore in them in your own body, which I'm sure many of you do anyway. The last bit I'll mention is that classically in yoga, there are various representations of animals in the postures, some mythical and some from nature, which then lend themselves toward certain structures, primarily along the spine. For example, the Kurmasan pose, the tortoise pose, which you could try out now, taking your knees and bending them, taking your feet together and sliding them forward, and then placing your hands like so inside the knees, or maybe just modifying like so, or even holding the knees with the feet. And it's like an extended form of Baddha Konasana. And really what it's doing, and you could do this here in your seat, you could also do this like a happy baby on your back. So choose one and breathe into that for a little bit. It's really designed to get you into the low spine, into the root of the matter, the root of the spine, to open up the hips. So choose one of those, and then after a few breaths, settling into what is a tenable proposition, engaging your bandhas, onboarding your breath, filling the lungs. On inhale, exhale, releasing any obstructions of the pose. And if you haven't tried it on your back, I welcome it, because then you can roll around a little bit now and just roll from left to right, inhaling to one side, exhale to the center, inhale to the other side. If you want to open the feet, either with a strap or holding the hands, and waver from side to side. And this could be fast, it could be slow, it could start to be more circular in its motion. And you're really massaging your low back. And then roll over to the side for a second. If you've gone onto your back, come up to seated in Sukhasana and center your spine. And breathe down now, take your mind down into that low back and leg area and feel if it's been a little enervated. Now we're going to add to that a motion that you see kids do. So if our soles of our feet were together, our hands were back, you kind of slide them forward like that and then slide them back. Okay, so this is kind of silly, but now we could do it on our backs even and have more fun. So take a peek, and I'm going to gather my feet together in my hands or with a strap, and I'm going to saw the feet back and forth. So I'm going to inhale them up toward my head, lifting my tailbone, and I'm going to exhale, let them travel away from me. So my tailbone goes down. And you can see what I'm doing, and I'm calling this a sawing motion, or inhale and exhale. And just move slowly in your morning body and curling the low back and then unfurling. And then you're going to drop the feet down to the floor. So the feet are located under the knees. And go ahead and take your arms out like you're about to do bridge pose, diagonally placed near the hips. And all I want you to do now is start to coil and uncoil the tailbone in a much more subtle pattern. And this time you're going to inhale, lift the low back and push the tailbone forward. Exhale, bring the sacrum, the tailbone toward you. Let this motion, which we've done many times, move and undulate up the spine, into the shoulder capsules, into the mid-back. So we're really playing in what's called Mula Bandha, the root lock, the lower chakras, to set our base and make sure our legs and back are happy. And then we'll bring the arms out like a T. Again, no big creativity here as yet. All movements that I've experimented with you in the past. And now we're going to think more like a fish, and the mid-back likes twists. So we'll inhale, exhale, drop the knees to the left, and start to slide or lengthen through the right knee, pushing it forward enough so that the right hip comes off the ground. Inhale through the center, exhale, drop the knees with the feet on the ground to the right, and then pushing on the diagonal of the left knee. And just start to move to your own measure. And if you're unfamiliar with this movement, or it's been a while, let's see, Barbara's been away for a while, but thankfully jumped back in today. And stretching the psoas, but more important than the anatomical piece of this is the kinesiology, how the pieces move, how the spine is now being opened in the midsection. The psoas muscle coming up through the back into the shoulder. And as you travel over to the left with the knees, let your head also roll to the left. And as you exhale and travel over to the right, let your head also roll to the right. And start to move the arm you're not looking at and spiral it back behind you. So I'll take you through it. Or you can always roll off and take a peek. So as the legs exhale to the left, the head does too, your extended right arm starts to palm up, lift the palm up to the sky, and then roll the palm back behind you, lifting the pinky fingers, ring finger, etc. off the mat. Exhale, flop back to the center. Inhale, and then exhale over to the right with the knees and the head. That left arm gets a nice opening, and the palm rolls from facing up to the sky to the floor behind you, pinky finger lifting. And you get the picture now. Start to roll and move the arm as you gently stretch and push through the same side knee. So we're just working a fish-like motion. And then let's come back to center and just draw our knees into our body once again. Just make sure that low back is happy. Maybe pulling the feet together as we started into that Kurmasan pattern with the feet right up to eye level. The soles of the feet together and right at eye level, and relaxing around the transverse abdominals and low back. Okay, then we're going to drop our feet down. We're going to reach our right arm up to the sky. We're still on our backs in kind of a bridge pose pattern. And nothing too new here as yet. Starting with the familiar, and we reach our right arm up and grab our right wrist with our left hand. And inhale, draw along that right arm so the shoulder blade starts to move away from the spine. Exhale, draw the right arm across the body to the left, rolling your head that way. Inhale back up to the sky, and same thing. Exhale, draw, and move. Now what if this became more circular? So as we draw that right arm over to the left, then we start to trace and draw the arm overhead, and then back up to where we started. Inhale, draw the right arm long. Exhale, roll playfully over to the left, and then like the hands of a clock, travel back behind us and then up. One more time, inhale. Exhale, roll in a big circle overhead. You could also have a steeple grip here, but I'm holding the wrist. Try the other side, starting simple, and then going from linear to circular. Left arm is reaching straight up, like you're going to shake hands with a cloud. Grab the left wrist, inhale. Exhale, moving across the body to the right. Inhale back to center. And as you do this, don't just do it, but feel how the shoulder blade is drawing away from the spine as you exhale and roll your torso to the right. And then how does the shoulder blade retract into the spine? And this is kinesiology. And you need this to have the freedom to move playfully. And then we go exhaling over to the right, and we start to make a big circle overhead with that held left arm. And exhale back to where we started. Inhale, draw the arm long. Exhale, roll right. And then overhead. And what are the eyes doing here? Well, you could have them closed, or you could be tracing and following the arm and the fingers with the eyes. And this brings the head, the skull, and the neck into the game. Okay, let's relax, release, and slide the legs long for a second, one and then the other, and just point and flex the toes. So we'll inhale, pull the toes back toward us, and exhale, push them away. So dorsiflexion as we pull the toes back toward us, stretching calves, and exhale, push away. And you really have to think like a kid here, and most of us do if we're at the beach, and just be fascinated by the fact that you have feet and how they can move. Now, can you, and you can't really see this, so you'll have to listen, can you circle the feet together in little circles clockwise? The feet are moving one way, and then, and this is mostly the top part of the foot, not the heel. So the calcaneus, all the toes and phalanges, and feel that rotation in the ankle, in the legs. And then you're going to draw your left knee in to your body and hold it with both hands. You can keep your right leg long or bend the knee if your low back doesn't like that. And then you're going to start to circle that left hip. Inhale again. We've done this in the past, drawing into the left gut. Exhale, forming up Mula Bandha, root lock, and letting the knee move away in a circle. And see if you can then do this as a little kid or the animal might, and just move without holding the left knee. And you can take a wide circle, you can take a small circle, and switching directions. And any movements that start to occur to you once I've started you on the pattern. So some of you no doubt saying, wow, I could even come across the body, straighten the left leg like a twisting triangle, or I could open out to the left of the left knee and project and extend that left leg to the ground. But I'm going to leave it up to you as to how much extension of the leg you can artfully do. Let's try the other side, sliding that left leg long, bring the right knee to both hands initially, and start to make circles. Inhale, coming around and toward you. Exhale, moving away. Doesn't matter which direction. Just stirring the pot and feeling and being fascinated by the kinesiology, the movement of the hip joint. And then see if you can unbind the leg with the hands and move playfully, fast, slow, letting the sacroiliac joint move and open, and maybe just swinging the leg from the left to the right, maybe full circle. And start to just plug into your own body's sensations. Come across the body, kick the right leg out long and look at the toes. Maybe opening out to the right. And then we're going to pull both feet toward us for bridge pose. Come up a few times up and down as if it were the first time you did it. You're going to curl the tailbone off the mat, inhale, and then exhale, open the shoulders. And then slowly retreat. Each disc comes down. Inhale, each disc peels from the low back, mid back, right up to the shoulder spines. So you complete the exhalation and tone the inner legs, tone the backs of the legs, and then you release. And move fluidly in an undulating way. So now you can think of a serpentine motion of the spine. And the head is moving back and forth as well. As the tailbone comes up, the hips lift, the back of the neck lengthens, the chin moves into the notch of the chest, and as you exhale with control lower down, the head rolls back. Again, nothing too radical as yet, just having fun warming up, and then we're going to pull both of these into the chest, open the knees a bit, maybe taking or revisiting the Kurmasana motion. And some folks that are more advanced coming up with the head, tucking the chin to the chest, as if you could touch the feet to the forehead. And then rolling off to the side or rolling up to seated. And let's straighten our legs out in front of us like we're going to do Dandasana. But instead, we're going to move more playfully. So we're going to slide our right leg up like this to a bent position on inhale. And then exhale, we're going to roll that knee across the midline to the left. And then bring both hands over to the left side. Come back to center and re-slide. Inhale, you draw the left knee up. Exhale, the knee goes across the body. Maybe this is it. You just stay with a micro motion, otherwise the left hand joins the right. And you get the picture. You can watch me a few times. Inhale, psoas draws up. Exhale, I'm going to start to roll on that outer bank of the extended leg. You don't need to know that. Really, you just need to feel that what we're doing is a playful and maybe more organic lateral body opening. The IT band on the leg, but also the side ribs on the same side that we're moving toward. So this could be a mild motion. Some of you at home just dropping the knee across and that's it. Others coming all the way over and maybe now starting to stack the bent-kneed leg straight along the other leg. You can see where I'm at now. And then I come back to center. Inhale, the leg and knee bends. Exhale, I roll. And then I stack, perhaps, depending on one's practice, the legs on top of one another. And what am I doing? I'm just moving into, organically, what becomes a yoga pose. Down on the side body. But we could just come onto our forearm here as we stack the legs and then lift up under that lower armpit, tone the legs, and breathe. Now, how many times have you done this exact same thing when you're just laying around at the beach? You roll over to the person next to you. How are you doing today? But now, because you're a yogini, your legs are toned, your core is toned, your shoulders protected by pushing down. And then it feels really nice to come up and go to the other side. So again, I'm kind of leaving it up to you as to what feels good. And you also get tricked into doing core work as you open up the lateral bank of the legs. And then let's come back to center. Let's pull the feet in together as we started into our Kurmasana. Again, Kurmasana is not Baddha Konasana. We're not drawing the body to the heels like that. We're getting broad, and this is like a little child sits. You can hold your knees and roll childlike fashion from one pelvic half to the other. And maybe you roll in circles. And you start to move the spine around and forward, holding your knees. And so that it's very, very playful and also tends to open up stiff bodies a little more readily now as we hold the feet or take a strap around the feet and just draw a little bit forward into this Kurmasana project. Keep the Uddiyana Bandha in play. And if there's any pinching in the low back, have more lift than fold. Okay, and then let's come up to Malasana. And here we are with that back again with the low back. You can put a towel under your heels if you need to. I know Anne has some trouble with this one, but you can also sit on a stool or a yoga block, taking your feet pretty wide and maybe even duck footing your toes out. And even here, can you play a little bit from left to right? And then bring the palms together on top of the elbows on top of the knees and getting some length. Now we're going to go from this pose to forward fold, back and up a few times, and we just drop into a wide-legged forward fold. And then we inhale, draw our bellies in and squat. And you can work this any way you want. You've got some knee restrictions. Then just stay in one pose without moving as much. One more time, and then we'll hold the forward fold. You take the opposite elbows in your hands, sway from left foot to right, or maybe kayak, make a figure eight motion around the feet, then up the spine. So the figure eight would start in the pelvis, and then move to the mid-back, the inner lungs, the inner rib cage fascia, around the shoulder girdle. And if it's what I'm saying is mysterious, then come up and watch, making a figure eight motion from the low back up through the mid back through the upper back. Adding motion to a yoga pose, and then dropping down, maybe knees and coming up to standing. Now we're simply going to swing, so we'll take a wide foot stance and start to move our body and add the arms and the legs together. So when we were on our backs, it was having you grab the wrists and pull it over. It was having you move the knees independently, and now we're going to move the whole picture. And just start to move from the hips, let the hips swing, and let the rest of the spine swing. And let your breath start to flow into the spaces that the motion allows. So if you inhale over to the side, the rib opening, the lung opening, the forward arm that's reaching across the body is more easily occupied. And then we're going to come to center. Now we're going to pretend we're birds. So you can do this with your feet fairly close together. You can do it with them apart. And all I want you to do is pretend you're a crane. So we're going to take the hands and we're going to bow the wrists. See if you can touch your thumbs to your index and ring finger. And keep your elbows bent. And you're going to sink down as if this were our Utkatasana chair pose. That's our inhale. Our exhale, what we're going to do is with the palms press out and then down. Now we gooseneck the fingers in toward one another, the backs of the wrists. Inhale, keep the elbows bent and sink down into our hips. Exhale, the hands open and press out, stretching the fingers, stretching the fascia, and then we swim to the surface. So you get the picture. I'm just going to now move, sinking my tailbone down toward my heels. And the motion of the arms, this is important, is not rigid, locked arms. The whole thing is very serpentine. So if I were to bend the elbows like that and then extend out, so I get all the joints to, and the finger joints opening and expressing. Inhale, the lower body sinks, the arms float up and press out. Exhale. Now if you want to try a little more sophistication of the motion, take your left foot forward. And so all the weight's now on your right heel. And we're really pretending we're like a crane, moving our wings. So be playful, but also feel in the body all the joints, the arms, the ribs, the fingers moving. And then switch legs. Right toes forward, you sink into the back leg. You can go fast or slow. And you're opening up all the joints in the shoulders, the elbows, the shoulder blades. And of course, this is, as we go back to side one, the advanced folks can lift the foot up, the front foot, and then place it down. Or maybe place it on the front knee. And then now you have to imagine you really are a giant crane. So there's levels of difficulty that could be added as we start to work the thoracic spine, the lungs open. I just add those more difficult postures for those that are not feeling any challenge, but it doesn't really matter. So now, coming to Tadasana, closing the eyes and feeling what's been activated. And what if we step back with our left foot, and we're going to bring the arms up like so, bend the back knee, and then exhale, the arms come back to the sides, square off, and we bring our left foot to the right. Right foot goes back, front leg straightens back, knee bends, and we open our arms, again like that crane, and then we swing the arms to the center, feet come together. Left foot back, not a big stance. Bend into the back knee, straighten the front leg. Open the arms. And you can see what I'm doing, and now I can just be playful. I step back, and the dancers in the group are happy. The yoga folks are wondering what the heck is going on. But you can feel all the ribs opening. And we always sink to rise. So this is one of the essential principles of movement, is the lower body grounding. And that's why we spent the time with the turtle groundedness. The back knee bends, front leg gets a stretch, and up come the arms. So now if I want to come into a triangle pose, there it is, in a more kinesiology pattern. Step back with the right foot, bend the right knee, straighten the left leg, sink through the hips, bring the arms up. Now I've opened my wings. I can tip forward and tap front shin, come back up. And now we're starting to add something that approximates a yoga pose in a slightly different way. Keep that back knee bent and go to your measure. So if you want a smaller stance, you're going to step back 2 feet. Who cares? And you're more like a Tai Chi master. So now we're getting multiple movements, benefits. Getting a stretch of the front hamstring, an opening of the rib cage, but just being playful. Swing, dip, and up you go. And just move with your own body here. I'm just making suggestions. But of course, some of you, Alva's already figured out that you can then tip right forward into half moon pose, and then come back up. So now we can go into more sophisticated motions, if we feel like it. Otherwise, you're just moving in the way that your body is inspired. You've got this pranic element in the upper body, you've got the sinking aponic element, and maybe it becomes a yoga pose. Maybe you're happy with the the fluidity of the opening. And let's come back to stand and close the eyes and feel the effervescence of movement. Now you may need to do the next part with a chair or wall. Some of you not. If you're using a wall or a chair, you're just going to lift your heels up, inhale, and put them down, exhale. We did this on our backs. Remember how you point and flex your toes. You can try it without, and you're just fascinated by the movement of the two flexion patterns of the feet. Maybe the arms come up as you inhale and exhale. And you place the hands on the knees and bring the feet together, plant the knees. Draw the inner thighs together. Draw the chin to the chest and tone the abdominal muscles. Forward fold, separating the feet. Then let's go ahead and step our left foot back and drop our left knee down. If you want a chair or wall in front of you, you can. Inhale, get tall, exhale, sink forward. Now we already kind of did this a little bit when we were on our backs. We had the knee drawn in. And then I said, let's circle. So can we circle here and start to just, without destroying any sort of knees of people that have issues there. Let's just move the front knee in circles as we start to straighten and rotate. And maybe you need a chair so you can just have your hands on the chair. Maybe you can take your hands to the floor like this in lizard pose and do the same thing in a little more fun fashion. Now I'm starting to mobilize the hip. So I'm leaving it up to you as to what works for you. And where does this go? Well, a full forward fold over the front leg. Maybe, for some of you, a little more into lizard pose. Feeling the back hip flexor, the left hip flexor getting a stretch here as you scrub and dig the toes, left toes in. And then let's see if you can put the right hand on the right knee. The left hand can go on a block on the floor or a chair and stay upright here. And then we're going to just rotate to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, we're going to rotate. So this can start simple. Maybe some of you just putting both hands on the front knee. Inhale, exhale. And all you're doing is just feeling how the right hip pulls back, the left hip rolls forward, as if I were turning. Again, be curious about your body, and everything generally moves from the lower spine to the top. Where does this pattern take us? We've done high twist before. That could be your form. This could be a low twist. You pick up the back foot. But what I'm encouraging today is to move pretty rapidly through the transitions. Whatever ones you're choosing, open and close. Open and close. Okay, let's go ahead and take the downward dog pose. My one bow to yoga pose today. Bend the knees, look forward and drop the knees down to the ground. We're going to roll the spine now, sitting back to child's pose.
dropping the head. Again, checking in with the sacrum, drawing the belly into the spine. And you can bring your toes together, your knees apart. Inhale, come up like an ocean wave with a rounded spine, head is dropped. Exhale, hands and knees, and draw the shoulder blades into the spine. Inhale, retreat to your hips. Draw your belly in. Exhale, come forward. And repeat. And just start to move the spine. Now, the next time you start to drop back, walk your hands to your knees and just sit for a second. And I want to show you a few nuances. Most of the stuff we've done in other permutations before. Some is new. But now I want you to take your hands forward like this, like you're going to become a cat or tiger, and you're going to stretch. So you're going to open the fingers and push out, and then you're going to claw really strong and pull the fingers in. And this is a martial arts technique for strengthening the tendons. But we're going to put it into the motion that we just did a little bit. There's very little of this hand work in yoga, but it should feel good. So if I do the same motion, I drop down into my child's pose. Watch, my fingers are claws. And as I roll up, I'm going to claw the mat. Inhale, draw back, and lift the fingers. Exhale, press the fingers, claw the mat. And you can see where I'm going with this, moving you toward an upward facing dog or a Cobra Pose with your clawed fingers. So maybe some of you now come all the way through the arms as the spine undulates, the fingers come on board, clawing. The toes start to come on board, digging into the mat. Just be playful. And let's come up to our downward dog for a breath or two. Stretch the fingers forward with your claw fingers. Open the collarbones, draw the belly in. And then just slowly walk the feet to the hands. Forward fold. Shake the head, shake the shoulders. And then come up with a rounded spine. Can we do our, before we do the other low lunge side, can we do our white crane entry to sun salutation? So most yoga systems, it's very mechanical and rigid, either up the sides or here. Now when you move, can you let the articulation of all the joints flow? Do it a few times. You're going to come down, tap the knees, the arms come up, and then exhale. So you feel the knee joints, the hip joints, the shoulder, the elbows, the ribs. It's almost like you're skipping rope. This can start to develop more into a back bend at the top of the leg extension. One more, and then we forward fold. And then forward fold. Let's step our right foot back, drop the right knee down, crawl the hands up onto the left knee. Inhale, exhale, sink. Pad that back knee if you need to. So we spend a lot of time in most yoga systems trying to be anatomically correct and freeze frame, like hips square. Again, all that's good, but often you find form in motion. So now we'll start to stir the pot. be careful, just start to rotate the front knee as you come forward. And let the rest of the body move with the movement of this knee and then the hip and the foot. And how many joints can you feel in motion here? Some of you are going to stay there. Some of you can take one or both hands inside the front foot. And then it becomes, and you can walk the left toes out a little bit, by the way, a hip rotation, knee rotation package deal. And I'm encouraging you to be both safe and intuitive as you move the joints around the outer hip of the left leg and stretching the front of the right hip flexor and using some motion to do this. Maybe a full bow over an extended left leg. So be intuitive, and then you crawl up to your front knee again with both hands on the knee or just having the left hand on the knee, and then exhale, rotation. So we already did this rotation at the beginning of class. It was a little bit different. Inhale and exhale. And so you can feel where you want to go with this, into a twist, open twist like we've done in the past. But I want you to also feel that you can move a little bit more in the patterns that we explored to start this process with the movement of the knee forward and around the circle. So it's not a frozen proposition. Okay, let's take it forward and make our way onto our belly. Take our forearms forward and easy cobra, we're just going to roll from one hip to the other. So now we're in the front of the body, and this is the visiting the evolutionary stages of movement for humans. Babies learn to crawl, and again, we've done some of this work as you roll on the fronts of the legs. You're going to roll to your right side and slide your left hand back toward you like a kickstand, and then just draw your left knee up like you're going to start to crawl like a baby would. Draw and bend your left knee, look at it. And then exhale, push it back, slide both forearms forward. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, roll to your left side, left forearm, left hip. Slide your right hand back. Look right and drag that right bent knee up toward you. Half lizard. And then exhale back. So now you're just going to go for a crawl. Hand slides back, knee slides forward, and you contract along that side body. C curving the rib cage muscles of the side you're looking toward. Be playful, be safe, and this is a natural motion for the spine. Do that a few more times before making your way back to child's pose. I'm going to grab my tea. So now from child's pose, we're going to come back and we're going to undulate our spines again using our claw technology down onto our bellies, and then forearms come up again. Same thing as before. We're going to roll right, drag the left hand back, draw the left knee up. This time, see if you can reach your left arm up to the sky like that. Put the hand down, slide the leg back, forearm down, right hand back, left knee, and then try to reach up. Do that a few times. Now, if you're feeling playful, go ahead and reach back with that lifted arm with the extended back leg. We get a quad stretch. And I want you to be careful if you're going there. So if I'm rolling to my left side, the left knee comes up, the left hand comes up, then I reach back and I grab my right foot with my right hand. And this is done fairly rapidly. We're not going to hold the posture too long. It's just like a little playful movement. And then release. Go ahead and place your hands down on top of one another and place your head on your hands and just roll from left to right again to make sure there's no disturbance in the low back. And even if there's not, I want you to just press your frontal hips down into the mat, move your tailbone away from you. Draw your chin to your chest. And then we'll come up to Cobra Pose, inhale, and exhale back to Child's Pose. Using your claw hands, come rolling up to Downward Dog from Child's Pose, tucking your toes under. And extend your arms, extend your ribs, extend your legs. And then go ahead and drop to hands and knees, cross your ankles, and lay back again onto your back body. We're going to have options here to finish. You can finish the way you started with a on your back tortoise. You can try the tortoise and see how much progress you've made seated prior to that. And eventually, one that's able to draw the head toward the feet, or even the arms through the legs. The other way to do it is to open the feet and just reach under the knees. And once you've hooked up, to lift the mid-back, which is a little bit safer. Other options on your back, and here's where, having opened up the body, some of you might enjoy rolling back and forth on your spine as we finish off class. And we used to do this, I think, boy, it's been a couple of years, to make sure there's nothing behind you. You can do it with bent knees, you can do it with a whole body, reaching back. And then keeping the chin tucked under toward plow. So this is for the flexible now, even if you're not so flexy, if you do have a wall behind you or even a chair, get a little closer to the wall. Take your feet to the wall, bend your knees. And then the final posture, Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of feet together. You can put some blocks under the knees. Let the tailbone and the sacrum unfurl. Let the kidneys breathe. So that you can slide your hand, the backs of your hands under your kidney area and scrub them. And scrub the hips forward a little, like you're tucking in your shirt tails. And let the arms displace out to the floor. Here's where I like to finish with the hands on the low belly for a breath, and then the hands on the heart for a breath or two. Settling these areas inside the spine. And then I place the hands on top of the skull to relax the back of the neck, throat, and sensory organs. When you're ready, you can roll one knee, clamshell it over to the other, roll to the side, and come up to seated. And we'll see how the body feels seated now. Letting the sitting bones drop and descend, the mid-back lengthen, and the palms coming to the heart center.